welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host as always, Richard Tiemann, and this is the award-winning Fan Show. Thank you. It is great to be back. Of course, it is a late Tuesday edition of the show because, like I mentioned, let's see, a couple of weeks ago, that this month, my course, which is Advanced Reporting for Full Sail, the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, we're doing our little Skype-like conference call video get-togethers Tuesday evening. Fortunately, this is the last week of that. Unfortunately, it's been a very educational class, very informative, learned a lot of skills, a lot of stuff, and I'm very, very happy about that because it's all things that I can apply later on. So like I said, this should be a great time for everybody, and most importantly, everything that I learn, I can apply with you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. I really do. We are going into Year 5 of IFL coverage. We continue to celebrate the 5th year of the Fan Show. Its birthday was September 10th, 2019, and this whole year up till September 10th of 2020 will be its 5-year celebration. So I figured, why limit it to a day, a month, celebrate the whole year. And that in turn meant that we would be celebrating the 5th year of IFL coverage because that started in the inaugural year of the Fan Show. 2016 is when I started following the Spokane Empire, and Spokane is back now, has a team with the Shock. I am with the Sioux Falls Storm. We've got 4 new teams to the IFL. We've got 13 total. I mean, there's just not much more you could ask for as someone who does media for an upcoming season. I mean, really, I'm super psyched about it. I think it's going to be a great season. We've talked a lot about why we think it's going to be a great season. And in all honesty, I just feel like it's one of those that you have to quit talking about and just see it now. And we will do that because we are under the 2-week mark for the start of an all-new IFL season. I have another great interview for you guys to help continue preview of the upcoming IFL season. Tonight we get to the Barnstormers with wide receiver Connor Hollenbeck, so that will be a great conversation you will not want to miss. And then, we just continue the countdown. We'll talk some XFL and a few things that have happened around the world of sports. But, I guess without further ado or any more delay, we can go ahead and get to today's headlines. Headlines, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises. They want to customize your world, and they can do just that. They can do t-shirts, beanies, hats, tablecloths, backdrops, plaques, trophies, belts even, and anything your heart desires. And if your heart desires something that you're not sure they can do, they'll take a crack at it for sure. So if you know what you want or you're interested in something, you can inquire by reaching out to Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com directly, or you can scroll through their Instagram, which is a great source of all the stuff that they do, and that is Dynamite Enterprises. And then you can visit their website, dynamiteenterprises.com. So go ahead, customize your world, all that good stuff. And I hope that you guys hit them up and decide to say, hey, Fan Show sent me, or so to speak, because I talk a lot about them, and I mean it all. My camera's drifting. And I mean it, but they're great. So happy Tuesday to you. It is February 25th. We get an extra day in February, so use that extra day to go and check out some of the products offered by Dynamite Enterprises and give them a call. And with that, then, we get back to the schedule for this evening. I had a graphic for tonight's top story, and it was just the standings for the XFL, but really I feel like we could talk equal parts XFL, equal parts IFL tonight because the XFL had its week 3. And I got 2 out of 4 right. Both away teams won, and both home teams lost. Or 2 away teams won on one day. That's what I meant to say. So both the away teams on Saturday won, and both the home teams on Sunday lost. That was crazy. I really hoped that the Dragons were going to continue what they had going early in that game. And it's like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Is it time to move on from Silvers? If you're a Dragons fan, is it time that you move on? Even if you're not a Dragons fan, I mean, have you seen enough from him through 3 weeks, or I guess not enough, that would make you justify benching him in favor of their backup, which I believe is BJ Daniels? But I can't understand why he continues to be the starter. You're in your first season. You don't have a whole lot of games to get it right. You know, it's not 16 like the NFL. And Jim Zorn, I don't know if he feels like this is the route to go, is to stick with the guy. But if LA can go and fire their defensive coordinator after one game, is surely, and don't call me Shirley, but surely a team can bench their quarterback in favor of the next guy. If you're right, they're right on the cusp. They really are. Their defense did a good job again, but they got gassed, plain and simple. Your thoughts on, what you think of the XFL through 3 weeks now. Week 4, I think, will be a big indicator of where we're at. I'd like to welcome James. Ernesto, I'm talking about your Dragons, man. I know that you probably don't want to share any thoughts on your quarterback, but this is just me from a spectator standpoint, watching, observing. I'd like to see what your backup quarterback can do. I'm very intrigued because I feel like you guys, special teams, defense, you guys do a great job as a team. Your offense is just really, it's just missing that one thing. So, but another great job by you, Ernesto. I'm glad you're having a good time there. Hello, Chris, Adam, Barry. Barry says, Connor Hollenbeck, heck yeah. And James says, go Storm. So we are up and running. We're talking about the XFL. And through 3 weeks, we had on Saturday, both road teams won. And then on Sunday, both home teams lost. Am I saying that right? No, I don't think I am. Both home teams won. That's what I meant to say. Wow, it's been a long week. Can you tell? We're starting training camp and all that good stuff. Alex says, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up to you, Alex? So, that's what I meant to say. I've said it wrong twice already. Bear with me. Hey, John, good to see you as well in the chat. We are live on Facebook, facebook.com/fanshowofficial. You guys that have liked the Facebook page get the entire podcast before anybody else does because it's recording right now in podcast form, and then I post it immediately following its live broadcast on Facebook. So if you guys have liked it on Facebook, you're getting all this before anybody else does. I used to do kind of a simulcast where I would have it broadcasting on Spreaker while I did the live, but I figured, you know what, if you guys are going to like it on Facebook, which is one of the strongest presence I have for the show, I want to reward you for that. So, okay, Saturday, both away teams won. Sunday, both home teams won. That's what I meant to say. 34-27 was your final in Tampa Bay. The Roughnecks, I still believe, are the team to beat. Correct me if I'm wrong. Fight me on this if you want to, but they have not shown me any sign of quitting yet. It's a bit of a higher score than what we've experienced before from the Vipers, so I don't know if that's cause for concern if you're a Roughnecks fan. Clearly, you got the W, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. But the Vipers have not been that great of a team, but maybe this was that moment where they're going to start to turn it around. They're 0-3. They're the only, team that hasn't won a game remaining, where the Roughnecks are the only undefeated team remaining. That's right. And then there was one because DC 9, LA 39. Who saw that one coming? I didn't. I really didn't. I don't know if I was more confident in Houston over Tampa Bay than I was DC over LA, but I was still pretty confident that DC was going to do it even on the road. I did not watch this game, but if you did, what'd you think? Was there something like what was going on with DC, or I guess what was going on with LA? In St. Louis, we had our first kick return for a touchdown, and it was really a thing of beauty. So to the naysayers of this new kickoff style, it can happen. It is possible. And, of course, we had the Dallas Renegades against the Seattle Dragons. And that was a tough pill to swallow. Dragons had a great home crowd once again. But, man, Dallas really brought it in that second half. They really, really did. So that was probably a statement game for Dallas. They, you know, are going to keep pace with the rest of the team. So when you're 3 weeks in and there's only one undefeated team left and only one team that hasn't won a game, it's a pretty good sign, right? I think we can all agree that that means that these teams are pretty evenly matched right now. Week 4, I think will say a lot about the team and its talent level. I'm very excited for that. Of course, we'll have a full breakdown preview coming up this Thursday's episode, which should be at its regularly scheduled time. There's a new episode of Eye of the Storm. If you're a Storm fan, tomorrow is Meet the Team Day. The players will be arrived. If they haven't already, they'll be there tomorrow. We'll get to meet them, and then training camp for the Sioux Falls Storm will begin Friday morning, and that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Training camp has already began for several teams, including Quad City, who will open the season, the 2020 regular season, against Cedar Rapids. And with that, a big happy birthday shout out to E.J. Hilliard, Quad City Steamwheelers quarterback. It is his birthday today, so if you know him, and even if you don't know him personally, if you still know of him, wish him a happy birthday. It's always nice to be wished a happy birthday on your birthday. So happy birthday, E.J. 11 days until the 2020 IFL season kickoff. So we're under the 2-week mark. I talked with Commissioner Todd Tryon last week as we celebrated the start of the 5th year of IFL coverage for the Fan Show. We continue to celebrate 5 years of the Fan Show as a whole, and we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up, some very exciting things as far as there will be a Hall of Fame for the Fan Show this year, starting this year, and then you know, we're going to do a few other things. We got some new merch. Looks like some new merch designs coming your way, so I'm thrilled about that. I really am. And then the season 2 of Kickers Need Love To moment of the week, which I'm excited for that. The Fan Show top 10 and all that other good stuff. The offensive, defensive, and special teams outstanding players of the week for the Fan Show. You can find all that right here. The Fan Show. It is facebook.com/Fan Show official. It's not official unless it's Fan Show official. And we have officially reached 11 days until kickoff. Is there a team or a game that you're most excited about? Of course, your thoughts regarding the XFL Week 3. Like I said, Houston is the team to beat right now. Through 3 weeks, I don't know exactly what kind of a bar that is, but they're undefeated, and that it says something. But Tampa Bay really has been on the short end of the stick. I think they're on the cusp of getting their first win. I don't know who their Week 4 opponent is off the top of my head, and we usually save the week upcoming preview for the Thursday episode. But man, if you're a Seattle fan, which I am, are you concerned? I'm a little concerned. Offensively, I think their defense is doing great, and I think their special teams is just fine. LA, if you're a Wildcat fan, are you thinking that this was a fluke win, or is this a sign of things to come? And then on the same note, DC, if you're a Defenders fan, is this a red flag? Is this something you need to hit the panic button on? Or do you chalk this up as a fluke game? If you're a New York fan, what do you do? Because it hasn't looked like New York has been very strong. I think their only win has been Week 1. St. Louis, though, looked very strong in this. They've got great home field advantage as well. That kick return, though, that was really something special. Barry is a Battlehawks fan. So, Barry, are you liking where your team is at right now? Do you like seeing? Do you like what you're seeing from the St. Louis Battlehawks? In fact, I'm going to bring up the standings right now for the XFL just to have an accurate one of that. So let's see here. XFL news schedule. We'll just go to the schedule here. Which the only thing I don't like about the app is that the schedule goes to the start of the season. It doesn't go to the most current week. So going into Week 4, since we're already here, we'll talk about this. Week 4, you will have LA 1-2 against New York 1-2. Then you will have the Dragons 1-2 against St. Louis, the Battlehawks 2-1. Then you have the Roughnecks of Houston undefeated 3-0 against the right now one of the next best teams, which is the Dallas Renegades at 2-1. And then finally DC 2-1 against a winless Tampa Bay Vipers team. I don't think that this will be the opportunity for the Vipers to get a win, but I didn't think that LA was going to upset DC either, and DC is the road team once again for this. Will they right their wrongs? We'll see. We'll do preview stuff on Thursday. I'm getting ahead of myself. But let's see. Matt has joined. Good to see you, Matt. I think if you're a New York fan, you're kind of on the edge right now, because you're 1-2, so you have won a game, but that game was, guess what? Week 1 against who? The Vipers. So I don't know if you're concerned just yet, because clearly, you're not winless like Tampa Bay. You gave Tampa Bay one of their losses. I think if you're Tampa Bay, you're looking for any signs of life. If you're LA, you loved what you saw last week. If you're DC, you hated what you saw last week. If you're Houston, you're loving everything about your team. And if you're St. Louis, you liked what you saw. Dallas, you liked what you saw. I think the Dragons, though, it's got to start with the offense. Hello, Matt. It's good to see you. Good to see Connor as well. Connor, it's your episode. He tuned in just to listen to himself, which I think is going to be a whole lot of fun if players tune in to listen to themselves. So your guys' thoughts on XFL Week 3. I still love the kickoff concept. I really do. And I think that now that through 3 weeks we've seen a kick return for a touchdown, even if you chalk it up as a trick play, which it kind of was, it clearly can happen. It can work. It can be done. And I think a lot of people were worried that it could not be done. And no, it can very much be done. So Week 3, and I wish I could watch more of these games. I really do, and not have to rely on highlights. But the work schedule has been so busy. Let's see. Matt says New York has been embarrassed after Week 1. That's hard to argue, Matt. If you're a New York fan, yeah, Week 2 you got shut out. So you beat Tampa Week 1, you get shut out Week 2 by DC, though. You got shut out by DC, who up until their matchup with LA looked like a very solid football team. I still believe they are. But then you only score 9. So total, let's see, 9 plus what, 23? You've only wow. You've only scored 31 points. That's a tough pill to swallow. Or I'm sorry, 32 points. So 32 points over 3 weeks. I don't think the Vipers have done any better, though. Well, they made up for a lot of it this last one. The Vipers have barely scored more points over 3 weeks than New York has, and a majority of them came from this last matchup against Houston, and that was still a losing effort. But they scored 9 the previous week and then 3 against New York. That's tough. So, yeah, Matt, I agree with you. I think New York might be one of the worst teams right now. Even though the Vipers lost to them, that was Week 1. You got to show that you're getting better each week, and I think Tampa Bay has proved that they're getting better each week. New York, not so much. I'm sorry to any New York Guardian fans out there. I do not mean to offend. This is just simply my takeaway from 3 weeks of XFL football. Let's see here. Caleb Jean Holbrook, good to see you. And talking about XFL, IFL. So the IFL will begin its 20th season, or its 2020 season. Storm are beginning its 20th season, the gold standard of indoor football. That will be March 15th. But the week before that, we get kickoff with the Quad City Steamwheelers. Happy birthday, E.J. Hilliard, and Cedar Rapids River Kings. And if you're the River Kings, you really want this win because it's at home. All eyes are going to be on you. It's supposed to be the start of a new chapter, coaching, personnel, all that good stuff. You rebranded last year, but now you can actually take it to the field and start putting up some W's. If you're Quad City, though, you're still probably pretty upset about how last season ended. Last week of the regular season, win and you're in. And it was just one thing after another. So you've probably still got fair amount of piss and vinegar left in your system that you need to get out on a team that struggled last year for most of it in Cedar Rapids. So I think this is going to be actually a pretty entertaining game. But E.J. Hilliard, Quentin Pedroza, Kevin Rudd, man, that is a nasty offense. Happy birthday, E.J. Hilliard. Also, sidebar here, apparently Joe Burrow has tiny hands. Not like Trump tiny hands, but like tiny for a quarterback. They measure 9 inches. And I only know this because I had to do an assignment for my current class on News of the Day. And believe it or not, that was the news of the day, was Joe Burrow's hand size. Jared Goff also has a 9-inch hand. I really hate that I know these facts right now, but his tweet was hilarious. Joe Burrow saying he's contemplating retiring because he's got tiny hands that the ball's just going to slip out of. But 'tis the season, right? The combine starts Thursday. NFL Network. You will be weighed. You will be measured. Will you be found wanting? I don't know. The combine is one of the most ridiculous things in my mind. I get that there's a point to it. I really do, because I'm not a coach or a scout. But man, the amount of stuff they put into the combine is crazy. It really is. Matt says Tampa Bay is almost there. Do you really believe that, Matt? Do you really believe that the Vipers are almost there, that they're on the cusp? They got a tough opponent in D.C., especially because D.C. got embarrassed. It was on the road, but they got embarrassed by the Wildcats. So it should be a good game. Joe Burrow's tiny hands. Yeah, I hate how much I know right now about hand size and what have you. Also, BattleBots tickets right now for season 5, which has been confirmed by the Discovery Channel, is they're on sale. So if you want to go to Long Beach and see the tapings firsthand, which I got to tell you is an experience, an unforgettable experience. It's one that you'll only need to experience once, and you'll want to go back each year because it's that awesome. So go and do that, because BattleBots is awesome. And you know, as we continue to celebrate 5 years of the Fan Show, we've come a long way with the show. And here's an example of that outside the world of football and, of course, indoor football. So the way that I got into BattleBots and started covering BattleBots was because I was recording an episode of the Fan Show, and I had TV going on in my background, and it was on ABC because that's where BattleBots was at the time. BattleBots was on ABC, and I saw a promo for it. And, of course, I was a huge fan of BattleBots back when it was on Comedy Central. It was kind of a gimmicky thing, but it was awesome. So I went off on this sidebar talking about how BattleBots was back. I didn't even know this. How did I not know this? And blah, 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 blah. And when I posted the episode in a tweet, I tagged BattleBots. And one of the referees, one of the guys from the very beginning, John Remar, hit me up and he said, hey, we don't have a whole lot of BattleBots coverage. Would you like to cover BattleBots? Absolutely. So I didn't get to go to the taping that year, obviously, because the season was already playing. It was airing on ABC. But I got to do exclusive interviews with the cast and crew, Farouk, the host, and then, or their ring announcer, Greg Munson, the founder of BattleBots. So it was a great time. So each year for BattleBots since then, I've had to go through all these channels to get approval by the Discovery Channel, which is where it's at now, just to go and do interviews. Well, I got an email from the vice president of the Discovery Channel inviting me back for this season. Now, I don't know if I can go because the schedule is so chaotic right now, and I don't know what the demand is going to be. But just to go from, you know, DMs on your Twitter from one of the personnel, the cast, the crew, to now getting personal invites from the VP of the Discovery Channel is super cool. So that's where we've come in 5 years for the Fan Show outside the world of football. And then, of course, we've covered Comic-Cons, concerts, wrestling events. It's been a great time. 5 years, that's crazy to think about. Let's see here. Jim says, Iowa record this year, possibly. Barry says, Mahomes tweeted Burrow on that, said he's doing just fine. Yeah, Mahomes has a 9.25-inch hand. Not as tiny as Joe Burrow's, but it is still a tiny hand. All right, so we got Connor Hollenbeck coming up. Any last thoughts on XFL Week 3? What surprised you? What didn't? If you're a fan of any of those teams, are you concerned? Are you satisfied? Do you want more? I don't know what the numbers are for viewership. I think they've stayed pretty solid. Seattle's attendance, though, has been awesome, so good for them. Good for Seattle. And then IFL, we got camp going. We got the season kicking off in 11 days. So all of you who have been patiently waiting because we're starting later than we have, it was on this day we did our first ever Kickers Need Love 2 moment of the week. Jacob Stetz from Quad City had a 49-yarder, or was it 41? I forget, but I shared that today. That was a great memory. I introduced the Player of the Game belt 4 years ago yesterday, First recipient was Robert Brown of the Spokane Empire, had 2 interceptions. One was a pick 6. So there's just been a lot of memories. Normally we're up and running on the indoor football, but we got to wait. We got to wait 11 more days, folks. 11 more days. So with that, I won't bore you any longer, because I know the reason that you guys are really here. You want to hear from Connor Hollenbeck, the dreamboat of Iowa, and he really is a dreamboat. Love you, Connor. Connor's a great guy. So here we go. Without further ado, my one-on-one with Mr. Connor Hollenbeck of the Iowa Barnstormers. Enjoy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now is one of the more familiar voices and, of course, one of our favorite faces in the IFL. He is wide receiver for the Iowa Barnstormers, Connor Hollenbeck. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing good. It's always a good time of year when the countdown to a new IFL season is under the 30-day mark. And I think we're under the 2-week mark now, so it's even better. I was talking with Commissioner Todd Tryon Friday last week, and I think we were at 15 days. So, yeah, it's like it's getting so close you're losing count now because you're so excited. How have things been going for you in Iowa?
Yeah, the season does, come up quick, and then before you know it, you're in your spot and you're starting camp, and then camp's over and you got your first game within 2 weeks. So everything's been going real good. We just started today, went through conditioning test. Everyone looked good. Everyone looked like they've been working in the off season. So that's, a really good sign for what's to come.
Yeah. And obviously, you want to kind of be the name, either yourself or your team, that's on the tips of everybody's tongues, but for the best reasons and not the worst reasons. And I don't really think Iowa has been for either. There was obviously a lot of players that followed Dixie to Tucson, and then you guys got a new head coach in Ameer Ismail, who has had his time in the IFL as a defensive coordinator for Spokane, spent some time as a head coach in the CIF and then the NAL, and now he's back as a head coach amongst probably one of the best crops of head coaches that we've ever seen in this league. Your time with him, I don't know if you knew him before, but what's your vibe from Ameer? Like, how's this thing looking for you guys?
No, I didn't really know him before, but the Facebook world, everyone knows each other on Facebook, basically, especially in the arena football game,
Absolutely.
So I kind of saw his history, with Massachusetts, and I saw he coached in Carolina for a little bit and saw his history. Watch videos and just, talking to him, I knew he was going to be, just getting out of playing himself a few years back, I believe. So he's fresh out of playing and he knows what it takes to be a good football player and obviously a good coach. So I'm looking forward to see how the first game goes. And actually, I'm just looking to get through camp and see how camp goes, the rest of camp. And so far, I've liked everything.
Yeah, I think Iowa made a good choice with him. I think there's obviously a lot of potential when it comes to Ameer building his team, because we've seen where coaches will take a lot of their core group of guys with them from location to location, and they do fairly well. But Ameer, I also know he's all about developing guys and trying to help them get to that next level, which obviously that's what you're looking to do yourself. Was there at any point this offseason a particular selling point in regards to making your decision to stay with the Barnstormers?
Yeah, as soon as I found out he was the coach, I asked John Pettit about who the coach was, and he told me who they hired, and I called him right away and, I asked him what he had in store for the season and what his goals were and stuff. And the first thing he actually said was he loves developing players and getting them to move up. So he was going to do whatever it takes, for us to move up. And that's what I really liked about him.
And now, of course, there's even more options for you guys out there. Now, we can say that last year there was the AAF, which your opinion about it, be what it may, I'm an optimist. I was excited for it. I wanted it to do well and succeed and obviously finish a season. But now we have the XFL, which I think is a bit more of a familiar name, even if it's completely different than what we were used to that one season back in, 99, 2000. And so now we're seeing a lot of the guys because there's no longer the AFL option. So now everybody's looking towards XFL, CFL, and then hopefully NFL if you're already in the IFL. Have you been in communication with anybody within the XFL, the teams, or the organization as a whole?
Yeah, so when the AAF came out last year, I was going to give it like a year just to see how, it would play out. And luckily I did, because everyone knows what happened. So luckily that, or not luckily that happened, but, I think I made a smart decision with that. And then, I'm kind of doing the thing with the XFL, just seeing if they can play a full season, just for my best interest and stuff. So I've, been in contact with some people. I've talked to the commissioner. I've sent them my tape, and he's emailed me back and everything and said, we'll get it to our personnel guys and let you know where you would fit in. So I've definitely been in pursuit of moving up, and I've been in contact with quite a few people.
That's awesome, man. And I think you'll have a great stage to show your best skills in Iowa, because, last year, Iowa was one of the best offenses that the league had, between quarterback Daquan Neal, wide receiver Ryan Ballantyne, and then, of course, the addition of you, which was a huge acquisition. And so now it is you, but, of course, Ameer's going to get you some help there on the offense. We're going to find out who your guys' signal caller is going to be as far as quarterback goes. But just for you, from sort of a veteran and a guy who's been in Iowa now for a full season and coming back, like, do you feel that you've kind of moved into the spot of a face of the franchise?
Yeah, that's definitely the goal, to be the number one guy. And, obviously that puts the spotlight on you, but other than that, it makes you become a leader. And now that I'm a veteran, I can be that face. And, if anyone has any questions or needs any help, they can always come to me. And I find myself on the field now, coaching the younger players, because I want them to be the best, because if they're the best and I'm the best, our team will be the best. So that's my goal, is just to be a good leader. And I think, playing last year here and then coming back really helped with that.
Yeah, and that's spoken like a true leader, and I love hearing you guys be all about, the game beyond yourself, because, the IFL is a little selfish, and I think we can all acknowledge that. You guys are wanting to move up wherever that is, be it CFL, NFL, or now XFL, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we just certainly want to see the best out of you during your time here with the IFL. But a lot of you guys, although that may be the reality, have not lost sight of the fact that there's still other guys on that 25-man roster that need help, that need to know what it takes to, get your film to the right people, what looks good on film. You can't be all selfish all the time, but obviously if you've taken on sort of the captain mentality and you're mentoring guys out there, I think that speaks volumes for you, your character, as well as the Barnstormer organization. So congrats on that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, you could be the best player, but, if your team goes 0-16, you're not going to get that look no matter what. So I think it's more important to have a better team than, just to be that standout guy.
Yeah, I think the Barnstormers are going to be a competitive team this year. How competitive, I don't know, because there's obviously still a lot of question marks. First and foremost, who will be the quarterback? But, you think about Green Bay's situation last year, and I had a similar conversation with Coach Corey Roberson, who ended up being the Coach of the Year and for the show as well as the IFL as a whole. And I talked with him before the season started, and I said, do you know who your guy is at quarterback? And he's like, honestly, like it's there's two guys that I think are perfectly capable, but we'll see. And then that first game happened, and then he kind of had his answer after that. So even if going into your season opener, if Ameer's not sure who the guy is going to be, it's not like your season is lost. There's a lot that can happen at this level in the IFL.
Oh yeah, definitely. Nothing's set in stone, and the turnover rate with players and coaches in the IFL is so large that, you can have a whole different squad in week 2 than you had in week 1. And, it's just finding those guys who gel together. And it's not always there are a lot of big name guys in the IFL this year, but it's not always the big name guys who are the most successful on a team. So
This time last year, you and I were having a conversation about how you wanted to break some records, that you wanted to be the best that you could out on that field, and of course, at the end of it, help your team get to a W. And then you found yourself on the top 10 a few times during the season. Do you have any new goals, or is it still just same story but a better chapter than the last one?
Yeah, that was one of my goals last year, was to be on the top 10. So and to have a very successful season, which we did. It was unfortunate how it ended, but I think that season we had, especially from the past seasons I've had, it was really awesome. So definitely keep those two goals the same. I'd say I'd keep all my goals the same. They're all still in sight, and I plan on accomplishing them.
Let me ask you something, since you were there last year and maybe have some firsthand experience with this yourself. But, Neil goes down. Very unfortunate and terrible timing for this to happen to your quarterback, who I think we all knew was going to be the MVP of the league. I mean, I had him down as a lock because he was the offensive player of the week for the show so many times, and it was just hard to deny him of how great he was in the moments he needed to be. But so your quarterback goes down, and in steps Ryan Ballantyne, one of your star wide receivers, is now going to play quarterback, which of course he's listed as that. He's played quarterback before, but it's not like that's been his job for 16 weeks of the season, plus, the postseason now. So have you ever had to fill in for a role that you've done it before, but it's not your forte? And what's that like if you have?
Oh, yeah. So I can go back to college with this one. Well, I've switched positions a couple times, actually, QB to wide receiver, but this was the biggest one. Was my coach called me over summer, and he was like, "Hey, Hollenbeck, I heard that you could punt, or you punted in high school." And I was like, I punted or kicked a field goal for maybe one game when our kicker got hurt, maybe just one time. But I'm like, "Hey, I can try it." And he's like, "Oh, that'll be awesome. We'll bring you in during the summer, and we'll have you compete with our other kickers and see how it works out." And then before you know it, I ended up starting 3 years. Yeah, so I was a 3-year starting punter in college, actually, which a lot of people don't know.
So when you get the call to go and do something different, like, what does that do to you mentally? Like, do you have to shift your entire game prep, or is it just, this is the call you're getting and you have to go and perform the best that you can?
Yeah, just like that. That's the, it's your team. That's the call you're getting. So you got to do whatever helps whatever helps your team. So I went outside and I punted a few balls, and I called my coach back, and I was like, "Yeah, coach, I'll compete to punt," and ended up getting that. So whatever helps the team, I'm all for.
Well, I think you're clearly one of the best receivers in the league right now, so I doubt they're missing you in the field goal game, and that you couldn't even punt if you wanted to, because there is no punting in the IFL, which I still love that. I know that it's because technically you can't, like, you could, but it's like you might as well just field goal attempt anyway. But I feel like there's a lot more excitement in the IFL because of that. Hey, if you can make it from 50 yards away, that's going end zone to end zone, and you just got to worry about the scoreboard, which that's a whole different element of home field advantage in the game right there. But it was a heartbreaker for you guys last year. A lot of people did want to see Iowa and Arizona, just because it was a matchup that a lot of people were talking about. And I don't know if it's just because it wasn't on the regular season schedule, or if it's because Arizona fell short of the championship the year that Iowa won it, and people were kind of wondering how that would have gone if that would have ended up being the matchup. So there was just a lot of curiosity, and obviously you guys have a goal and a mission this year, which is to get to that next game, get back to the championship, and I think Ameer is a great guy to get you guys started in that direction.
Yeah, I definitely think so too, and I think a lot of that was that we didn't get to play Arizona in the regular season. I think that was the biggest part of that, and then get to play them this year at home. So that's one of the games I'm looking the most forward to. I
was just going to ask if there was a game you had circled on your calendar. I figured that was going to be the
one. Yeah,
that
one circled. Yes, sir.
You're hoping that's got the record-breaking moments in it, that you've got like 5 touchdowns and like 200 yards.
And number one on the top 10. Yeah, that's going to be my game right there.
That's your game right there. He's calling his shot before the season's even begun, and I love that about him. All right, man. Well, hey, I can't thank you enough for taking some time to come back and talk about IFL football, the Barnstormers. Have a good camp. Enjoy yourself. Don't be too mean to Ameer, but please text me any dirt you get on him. I'm always looking for more stuff with Ameer. Trust me.
I got you on that.
All right, man. Well, he is wide receiver for your Iowa Barnstormers. If you're in the Iowa area, you know him, you love him. And so he is going to be coming back bigger, stronger, better than ever for 2020. Connor, thank you so much. You have a great rest of your night.
Thanks. I'll catch you around.
You too. And one more big thank you to Connor Hollenbeck for joining me on this Tuesday edition of The F.A.N. Show, the show made for the fans, by a fan. Been doing it for 5 years, going into 5 seasons of IFL coverage. Really, looking back, I've said it before, I'll say it again, it is crazy to look at where the show started and where it is now. I would have never conceived that we'd be coming to you guys live through Facebook and then uploading it to YouTube later. And I never thought that we would be on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. When we first started, it was some podcasting platform that I don't even think I had ever heard of. And then we eventually got to Spreaker. We rebranded, changed the name, got a new logo, got a new motto, a new attitude. And yeah, we just have been kicking it up a notch every season, every chance we get. We want to do things better than we did yesterday. We want to be better tomorrow than we were yesterday with what we learned today. And that is how we do things on the F.A.N. Show. So thank you so much to Connor Hollenbeck. Thank you guys out there for watching. Thank you guys for listening when you hear this in podcast form. It's been a lot of fun. I see Colin. He's just like, see you tomorrow, Dreamboat. Look, Connor knows he's basically a model. All right, can we, Barnstormer fans, flight crew, he's basically a model. I mean, when you had him and Ryan Ballantyne on the same team, I was like, who gets more FaceTime with this crew? I really don't know. But now he gets all the FaceTime. So, I mean, you're going to sell tickets to the ladies just because you got a guy like Hollenbeck on your team. So, hey, bonus for that, right? So, Caleb, we'll get you on the show later, Caleb. I'm excited to talk to you, my man. And Barry, thank you. I'm glad to know that you think we're doing a good job here on the F.A.N. Show. So, thank all you guys. It's been great. Subscribe, iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, YouTube channel. We're uploading these as you see them here on Facebook now instead of just the audio. And then, of course, give us a like, give us a follow. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is where you can find all the latest and most recent happenings of the F.A.N. Show. So remember, it's not official unless it's F.A.N. Show official, and we are officially out of here. Until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.